You know things are bad when Biden's media minions stop covering up for Hunter. The New York Times exposing the first son's failed plea deal. Turns out that the U.S. attorney turned special counsel David Weiss planned to let Hunter off without charges for tax evasion. That was until IRS whistleblowers forced him to change his mind. And Politico reporting that Hunter's lawyer threatened DOJ prosecutors with putting Papa Joe on the witness stand. The move worked, leading to Hunter's bogus sweetheart plea deal. And the Washington Post raising questions about how the special counsel apparently worked with Joe's other son, Beau. Even CNN is calling out Joe Biden's bluff.
I mean, Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong. I don't know that he was lying about it. He might not have been told by Hunter, but this blind spot is a problem.
I think Biden has basically got three issues where he's not figured out what to say. Okay, one is obviously the questions about Hunter Biden, his son. The other is what to say about the investigations into Donald Trump. And the third is about his age. Those are three massive issues that are sort of clouding his reelection campaign.
Ugh, poor man's five. Am I right?
They need a bigger table.
That's embarrassing. They're all crammed in there like it's Thanksgiving on their little card table, and the adults are somewhere else. Dana, two parts to this. This is amazing. The Jake Tapper thing, so obviously CNN is getting the go-ahead to slowly remove Biden from the presidency because they never said this before. Now Jake's saying it, but then he offered that little get-out-of-jail-free card by saying, "What's his blind spot?" It's not a blind spot. He actually sees it.
It's like a glaring neon sign.
Yes.
And what's interesting, too, is that it wasn't just CNN, but many others took that national security letter that 51 national security folks signed saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation. A lot of reporters went with that. I don't know if they're mad at those sources, if they're frustrated with those sources. Like I would be. So what would be different going into the next election? If now you believe that Trump was right at the time, so what would you do differently next time? That would be interesting. The part of the story I'm very much interested in is that apparently David Weiss was not going to charge Hunter Biden with anything at all until he heard that the whistleblowers were going to come forward. And now some Democrats want to prosecute the whistleblowers for bringing it up. So that there is whistleblower protection for a reason. And I know that on both sides, people love or hate the whistleblower, depending on who it is. In this particular case, I don't think anyone's really put a dent into the reputations of Shapley or Ziegler. And, oops, they did it again. Is a situation with the media when it comes to this story.
Ooh, that's a nice little thing we can put in there for Britney Spears thing.
I'm trying to make it a little more hip around here.
Yes, as you know, I hate people who whistle, Jesse, so we'll move on to you. This is a great point. This plea deal, we were all trying to figure out why this happened. And that's pretty ballsy to say we're going to put your dad on the stand.
Well, and then Weiss fell for the bluff.
Yeah.
Do you really think Joe Biden's going to take the stand at trial? This was never going to trial anyway. So, I mean, this guy, Joe Biden himself said all politics is personal. So you got to wonder who this guy Weiss is. Weiss has been living in Delaware, a little fiefdom, for 25 years as a prosecutor. It's like where you live, upstate, Greg.
Oh,
everybody
really?
kisses your butt. You know everybody, and you do everybody favors.
That is true.
He actually gave Joe a pass when he had these straw donors in 2008. Some guy volunteered to wear a wire to bust him, and they said, go chase off. Then he worked with Beau Biden, and then he had all of his minions that were running this investigation or running it into the ground, giving Hunter a tip-off, saying, oh, here he comes, up, no search warrant for you. They were blocked at every pass. Now, how can Jake Tapper play dumb for this long? I had no offense to Jake, but you can't say that Joe Biden had no idea Hunter got paid millions from China. Okay, you flew your son to China, and then he's filthy rich. You can't add that up. You were getting an office with his Chinese business partner named Dong. That never rang a bell? Oh, when you were writing this guy a letter to get his daughter into Brown University, the chairman, you never asked why this was happening? Come on, Jake, you're better than that. Maybe you're not.
Judge, it's interesting, the timing, don't you think? Now admitting this is happening.
The timing tells the whole story, and David Weiss has to go. He is corrupt. He has proven himself to not be trustworthy. He has destroyed the American people's faith in the criminal justice system. He had no intention of filing charges, which is why he continued to allow and continues to allow, as we speak, the statute of limitations to run. You know, this Chris Clark, he was a smart cookie. What he did was he went over Weiss's head with the threat to call Joe Biden as a fact witness. Why? Because he knows Weiss was not the guy making the decisions. So anyone would say, what are you going to call him? As a fact witness to the gun? I mean, Joe Biden has a policy against gun. What's he got to say? You're going to call him as a reputation witness to say my son has a stellar reputation in the community? Or are you going to call him as a fact witness to tax evasion? You're going to say, yeah, I took some of the cash, of course. They were never going to call him. And the fact that they threatened them with that and they were ready to go with it and just not drop it all is really stunning to me. It was never going to happen. It was a threat. And it was nothing more than that. But the outcome with the whistleblowers, and now today, we find out, if you recall, there was a conversation between Weiss and 6 other people. Shapley recorded that conversation, documented it contemporaneously, making it a business record, that Weiss said, I do not make the calls in this case. 4 people have been subpoenaed today. 2 of them are SAC, special agents in charge, one of the IRS, one of the FBI. The other is a director of field operation IRS, and the other is the assistant SAC. They will now corroborate that David Weiss admitted to everyone that he didn't have the final say. Now what's the Justice Department going to do? Merrick Garland and this guy Weiss are dirty, they're corrupt, and they have to go.
Harold, you can't spell Delaware without aware. It's pretty clear they were aware.
Or law.
Or law, that's true.
Ooh, that's
Ordell.
good.
Anyway, can we show that table again? Anyway, go ahead.
Look, I'm not going to speak to the motivations and biases of these people, but I'll say this. I think the process, I differ with us around the table a little bit. I think the process has worked for this regard, whatever their motivations may have been. And a lot of times the process is designed, as the judge knows, to protect and to ensure that there are checks and balances. So if you assume the worst case about Weiss, which I don't, if indeed, and again, I think the New York Times can sometimes engage, as President Trump often says, in fake news. We're taking their reporting to be actually what happened here, and I'll assume that for a moment. But let's assume Weiss didn't want to bring it. There were whistleblowers that came forward, and that process worked. Those whistleblowers were protected. They were able to share their thoughts, and they were protected in the process. 3, Mr. Weiss.
They were blocked from investigating the big guy.
No, but they were able to whistleblow, which means we as the American
That's
people.
after the fact.
But Jess, let me just finish my point. Whatever well, that's the whole point of a whistleblower. You're able, you during it or after.
They shouldn't have had to have blown the whistle, Harold.
So the special counsel, Mr. Weiss, then decides that he needs the powers of a special counsel to ensure that he can go above and beyond Mr. Garland. For that matter, this is in any Justice Department. It's not just this Justice Department, any Justice Department that is the case. You now have Weiss, who's a special counsel. After 5 years as a U.S. attorney, he now has the opportunity to open investigations in California, which he has, to open an investigation in D.C.
He said he already had that right. He lied. That's the whole point.
He did not have that right.
He
didn't. So why did he lie?
Well, he never said that. You're going on.
He said it right in the meeting.
Where we are now, the judge in this case did her role. She came forward and said, let me protect the defendant and ask everyone, do you know what's in this agreement? And you know what? There was no meeting of the minds. So we are where we are. And again, I'm not going to get into the motivations and biases. You could be right, and I certainly could be right, but who knows? As always, you are right. Now you have this special counsel, and I can assure you, there's no one at the White House. I'm not speaking because I've spoken to them. I cannot imagine anyone at the White House is glad that the special counsel said that I cannot give you assurances that President Biden is not being investigated here. That says to me the process is working.
Who's the special counsel? Weiss?
David Weiss.
Oh.
Can I see the table? The table of that other crew? Can we see the table? I just want to show you their table. Oh, never mind. They can't get it. Oh, well.
We'll wait.
It's Monday. We'll wait. Got nothing to do.
Got nothing else to do.
So how was your weekend?
It was pretty good.
Harold, you went to the Bahamas?
It was good.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it was mine. I had a flat tire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Did you change it yourself?
No.
Up next, Biden's former press secretary is bashing conservatives. That was funny.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.